Hey everyone, welcome to the final Mets Prospective episode of the season. Jacob Resnick here with Joe DeMayo, and after 5 months of covering all aspects of the Mets minor league system, the regular season is officially over. So with that, Joe, let's get right into it and take a look back at some of the more impressive performances of the 2021 season. Joe, why don't you start with who you consider your most improved Mets prospect in 2021?
I'm going to go with third baseman / now left fielder, Mark Vientos. In 2019 in low A, to me, I just saw a guy that was an incomplete hitter, had power, certainly hit the ball hard, but really needed a lot of work on his strike zone discipline. And now you fast forward to 2021, and after his rough start in May, he took off from June on, and he looks like an absolute complete hitter right now. And of course, hitting 22 home runs is certainly quite the accomplishment.
I'm going to go with Tylor Megill as my most improved player. I don't think we were really shocked by his ascent because we both talked about him coming into the season as a guy who we thought could take that jump. But to actually see it happen, to see him start in AA, get up to AAA pretty quickly, and then when the opportunity presented itself, he was up in the majors and has had some really great starts for the Mets in the big leagues. So I think the Mets have to be really happy with what Tylor Megill has given them throughout the season. And we didn't really know much about his future coming into the season just because he really hadn't pitched that much as a professional entering 2021. So we knew he had the raw talent. We were just waiting for him to put everything together. And that fastball breaking ball combo has been pretty good for him so far in the major leagues. All right, so Joe, why don't you give us your biggest surprise of the Mets minor league season?
I'm going to go with right-handed pitcher Eric Orzi, who was a 5th round pick in the 2020 draft out of the University of New Orleans. And this is a guy that started in high A Brooklyn and elevated himself all the way to AAA Syracuse in his first professional season. I actually saw him pitch with AA Binghamton and saw a fastball, 93 to 95. He'll touch 96, but his real weapon is his mid-80s splitter, which gets a ton of swings and misses. He's shown the ability to pitch multiple innings. I think Orzi is a guy to keep an eye on as a potential bullpen option for the Mets in 2022.
I'm going to go with Jake Mangum as my biggest surprise this season. And Mangum is obviously a very polarizing prospect among Mets fans and people who follow the minor league system. He had 5 home runs in his entire college career at Mississippi State, which was a very decorated career, but he was not a home run hitter by any means, even with metal bats. And entering the final week of the minor league season this year, he has 9 home runs across Brooklyn and Binghamton. So he completely, I don't want to say reinvented himself. He added to his game while maintaining what has made him good in the past. He was able to add that power aspect, and that makes him, in my mind, a much more interesting prospect. His age is certainly working against him, but he definitely has the tools to put everything together and make a major league roster, perhaps at some point next season, if not the year after. All right, Joe, let's get to our MVP, our most valuable prospect from the Mets minor league system in 2021. I have a feeling we're probably not going to disagree on this one.
How could you not go with Francisco Alvarez? He's without question the top prospect in this system. Now he's being ranked inside the top 10 prospects of all of baseball. Just the growth that he had this year as a 19-year-old in high A, his first full season, just showing plus power. And he hit the Cyclone with a couple home runs down there in Brooklyn. So just an overall really exciting year for Alvarez. And, we could feel it, how excited fans are for him. And to me, I think it's no question he's the MVP of this system.
He was kind of a local legend coming into the season this year, and fans had really never seen him before because he had only played in the Gulf Coast League and Kingsport. Those games are certainly not broadcast on MILB TV, so fans hadn't really gotten a chance to see him. And getting up to Brooklyn, where Mets fans in New York were able to get out and see him, his games were being broadcast, and all of the home runs certainly made the rounds on Twitter and certainly lived up to the hype. It was pretty big hype coming into the season, and he more than lived up to it. I think it's safe to say that he was the most valuable prospect and more this season for the Mets. Joe, what current Mets minor league player would you pick to make an impact on the major league team in 2022?
I'll go with third baseman Brett Baty. I think right now third base is a position that's in a bit of flux at the major league level. And Baty, I have the expectation that he'll start next season in AAA, which makes him really just a call away. and he's got just such an advanced bat. I mean, he shows power to all fields. He's had, his ups and downs in AA this year, but to me, I think Baty is a guy that if the need arises and, they want that bat that Baty can provide, I think in 2022, he could get the call up to the big leagues and, hit maybe potentially even in the middle of a major league order with his skill set.
Yeah, Baty's certainly a great option. I'll go with Mark Vientos. You touched on him earlier, and you can't really go wrong with either one. They're both going to be in the upper minors in 2022, and like you said, just a call away. Vientos, for me, just having seen him really master AA, just with how he put an assault on AA Northeast pitching all season long, was really impressive to watch. And, he'll be on the 40-man roster this offseason, which makes the decision a little easier if you're determining, who to call up when you need someone. So I'll go with Vientos, but certainly both Vientos and Baty could make an impact on the Mets next season. So we certainly have plenty of thoughts on the state of the Mets system, but who better to ask about what the organization thinks than the director of player development himself, Jeremy Barnes. Last time we spoke, you said you wanted the organization to be relentless in our development to continue to raise the floor. To what extent do you think that played out this season?
For us this year, it was really starting to talk about what we need to work on, what we need to do. I think we've done that. We're starting to talk about the game a little bit differently. We're starting to think long-term in our development plans a little bit differently. I'm thrilled with where we're at right now. We have a ways to go. I mean, by no means are we a finished product, but with the things that we've been able to put in place, the systems, the structures, how we're viewing development in general, I think we're in a good spot right now.
Ronny Mauricio had some very high ups this season and some pretty low downs just kind of throughout the year. What does the organization have to do going forward to make sure he's getting the most out of his really incredible natural ability?
For him, it's about controlling the strike zone. That's probably one of the biggest things I've seen this year. He's bigger, stronger, absolutely. That helps a ton. But each month, he's gotten a little bit better at controlling the strike zone, not chasing. And for him, he's so talented. That's the name of the game for him. If he can stay in the strike zone, continue to figure out a professional approach and stick to it, he's going to do damage. He's going to make contact. He's going to do his thing at the plate. And then just continuing to stay locked in over the course of 145 to 160 games on defense.
Last time we had you on, we had a conversation about how impressed you were with Francisco Alvarez, while also noting some things that he needed to work on. How would you grade Alvarez's season as a whole, and how much growth have you seen in what you wanted to see him improve at?
I'd grade it as an A+. I mean, we got a 19-year-old kid that has like 22, 23 home runs. I can't count that high. I'm losing count with all the home runs these days. He's been as advertised, if not better. I mean, the thing that stands out to me about Alvarez is he has an infectious personality and a desire to get better each and every day as he comes to the ballpark. He has so much fun playing the game. It's just fun to watch him go about his business. And, to be that young and that talented offensively it's incredibly rare. He's absolutely made strides on the defensive side. The area of his game that he needs to continue to improve on the most is catching in general. It's such a unique position. It's so difficult to master. I think he's shown us where he's at on the catching front, and I think he's shown us he may even be ahead of where we thought he was on the offensive front.
I'm not sure if there's a prospect in the system that had a better year at the plate than Mark Vientos. What were your takeaways on his development as a hitter at such a young age? Similarly, you talked about with Alvarez at a young age at AA.
We just felt coming into the season that, Vientos was ready. It was, the question mark was high or AA, and we felt strongly that he was ready for that level. He started off slow. Then he just took off. He's done what he's done in, honestly, not that many games. I think he's around 75 games, and he has 22 home runs or something like that. He's shown that his bat's real. We need to continue to get better defensively in some areas. He knows that. He's open to the challenge. He's ready to attack that challenge. But, I think he solidified himself as a real bat out there in the system and out there as far as other teams' prospects as well. So what he's done has been pretty elite, and he's shown that he can make adjustments, and he can make adjustments within the season.
Who are some of the under the radar prospects that you may not have known much about coming into your first year with the Mets that stood out to you?
The biggest name is Allan, probably. Right now, he's in AAA. He's been doing fantastic things. It's hard to call him an under the cover guy, especially with what he's done this year. But, coming in, his name wasn't brought up to me like all the other names. And he's made huge gains in his development. And, he's doing fantastic things at AAA. Orzy is another name that's been really big for us on the pitching side up there at AAA. He has fantastic stuff. Cole Gordon is another guy that's, came in as a closer for Mississippi State that's been dominating as a starter in AA pitching for us this year. That's really put himself on the map. I feel like Jalen Palmer was a prospect, but I think he's made really big strides and has really impressed me in a lot of ways. And, they're players, especially down at the lower levels. We got guys that are coming and starting to develop. We want to continuously always be searching for ways to get better. We have guys that have had awesome years, but there's still ways that we can get better.
Thanks so much to Jeremy Barnes for joining us twice this season. And a huge thank you to all of the Mets players and coaches who took the time to be part of our show this year. So for Joe DeMayo, I'm Jacob Resnick. Enjoy the offseason, and we'll see you next time on Mets Prospective, presented by Verizon.